Well, here's the kit all unpackaged, laying on my little small table I have here in my garage. It's going in that bad beast right there. So I'll be doing a step-by-step install into the Ski-Doo 850 for this Turbo Performance kit. It's the Sonic X kit that I've got, and I did the additional upgrade of the fuel and the gauges. So as I go through this, we'll be documenting this, and we'll be letting you guys know the ins and outs of this install. So I've gone ahead and removed the hood from the machine. I've removed the stock can from the machine. I've also taken off and made this loose up here, the console piece, and over here I have removed the drive clutch, the driven clutch, or the secondary as some people call it. And make sure when you're removing this that you remove the bearing holder back there, and on the other side I've got a 9/16 socket holding the gear up in the chain case. I don't have a tool for that, and that's a trick that I learned many years ago on these sleds. So at this point the air box is ready to come out. I've got to take the gas tank off so that we can do the gas, the fuel pump, high flow fuel pump that is supplied with the kit. That will make it easier for the injectors and all the other fun stuff to go. I have lifted my sled up on 3 bike stands to give it some height so that I'm not bending over all the time. So a note that we need to talk about is on the back of the air box, right down in here, you've got some clips that hold the 2 fuel lines in place, and there's 2 zip ties that you need to cut and pop those fuel lines out of those clips. They just push straight up. There's not a whole lot of doesn't take a whole lot of effort to get those out of there. As you can see right here, that is the fuel line that goes into the ECU that we'll talk about later on the install. And you need to pop those out. Once you pop those out, you'll tip the air box toward the front of the machine, and it pops the 2 pins out of the back, rubber mounts, and then it will slide out with not a lot of effort. And I'll sit that down there, and these are the 2 fuel lines right here that are in there, and there's also a zip tie that goes around that wiring harness. So now you can see there's the fuel pump that we'll talk about. I am going to remove the structure here on both sides and remove the fuel tank, and that way we can get the fuel pump assembly out, and plus it'll just give us a lot more room to work in there, putting stuff back together and installing the new 2 new throttle bodies with more injectors, and give us access to the fuel lines that we need. So we will remove these 2 screws, the gas tank screws up there, and I'll just kind of move these out of the way so I can slide the gas tank out. I will take the PTO side of the support totally off and leave it hanging. I do not want to remove that pop rivet. I really don't want to pop rivet anything in the sled. So you've got 2 screws up top, 2 at the bottom, and 1 here in the middle. So again, 2, 1 for the gas tank, these 2 down here at the bottom. And at that point we will remove these 2 8mm. We will disconnect the harness for that, and see right here, I'm just going to take my 8mm and undo these. Wow, lighting's bad for that, Sorry about that, guys. Homemade video here. Just trying to do my best. After we get these two out, you just take the bolt, kind of wiggle this back and forth a little bit. There's an O-ring in there, and it just pops out. So now, as you can see, both fuel lines are accessible. Fuel tank is all disconnected. We'll remove all the supports, slide the tank off, and as you can see, this is kind of where I'm just putting my stuff. And in there, we've got all the piping and turbo stuff, and over there is the beast. So I've just been laying my plastics on the ground, on paper, up on the table here in my garage. And sorry, but I've got other projects going on, little stuff. But so, all right, at this point, I am going to remove the throttle bodies here, take that out so that we can get to the bolt back here that holds the coolant line on. And we'll also remove both coolant lines on both sides, as we need to hook up the PTO coolant line right here to an extended line that will run across to the turbo, and then the mag side coolant line will be a return line from the turbo. So as I'm doing this, we will be doing this based on the shop manual that Ski-Doo has out.